Hello, I'm Deandra Grant. I'm back with Douglas Huff, President of Dallas Criminal Defense Bar, and we are continuing our series on navigating the Frank Crowley Courthouse. And this topic, I don't know a whole lot about, so I'm going to let Doug do most of the talking, but we're going to talk about specialty courts, pretrial,
Intervention.
intervention, whatever the lingo is they call it in Dallas. So let's talk about however you want to talk about it.
So there's quite a few different paths that you can follow in Dallas, whether it's misdemeanor or felony. Um, Often, your client is eligible for what's called pretrial intervention.
Okay.
Um,
Used to
that
be called, or it's called pretrial diversion in a lot of other counties,
yes,
right?
yes. So you'll actually you'll hear them refer to PTD or PTI, and it's the same exact thing. It just depends on who you're speaking to. Previously, if you hadn't been around in a little bit, you would have had to apply to a variety of different programs, or you would have a memo agreement, or a conditional dismissal. Those don't exist at all anymore in Dallas. It's all the PTI program or specialty courts. So in the misdemeanor courts, there's a wide variety of specialty courts. They all have their different conditions. They all have different outcomes from the DWI court that is
There's DWI court out of court
three.
three,
Yeah.
and then there's a misdemeanor veterans court.
Yes, they have veterans court. You don't really see that in misdemeanor as much. You, I know in court five, they have the green yard, which
What's
is,
the green yard?
well,
That's Judge Green, by the way. Cute, cute. Green yard.
um, this is for young first offenders.
Okay.
Okay. Um, so you have those types of things whenever your client, those are the special, you've got a lot of specialty courts, and we'll have to do like a list of those for you. But sometimes what you'll actually get is, since they don't do conditional dismissals anymore and they don't do memo agreements anymore, they'll offer your client PTI or PTD. And at that point, it's a process where you have to fill out an application
But there's
uh,
just one application
that
now.
covers everything.
Because the way it used to be, if you haven't been in Dallas for a while, is every court had their own application. So you'd have to know not only what all the programs were, but get the special form for that program. And it was not good. It was a very bad
Yeah.
situation.
So you apply to PTD or PTI. The district attorney's office actually has a special uh, division that just reviews those and monitors those and the whole deal.
Do they like pick what program you would be best for, if any at all?
So in the misdemeanor side, you don't really see that as much as you do in the
That's more
felony
of a
side.
felony thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned the green yard. How do you know your client might be a good candidate for that? Does someone tell you?
Well, you're going to have to watch one of our other videos that actually breaks down all of the different specialty court programs,
Okay.
because every court, like for instance, there's we've got a court that helps with prostitution.
Mhm.
We've got
Used to be called Star Court. Is it
mhm.
still Star Court?
And we've got drug court. We've got veterans court. We've got mental health, which is a whole different division. It actually that falls outside of the specialty courts. And then we have got a bunch of different specialty programs that you see mostly in felony, like AIM or Divert. These are different programs that they have put together.
Well, what if you want to apply for misdemeanor DWI court? Where do you go?
You go to court three.
Okay.
You're going to go to the court coordinator, and you're going to get an application.
Okay.
Um,
And if you want to apply to Judge Green's green yard,
you're going to go
you
to
go to the coordinator
yes,
in court five,
yes.
and you're going to say, hey, can I get application for the green yard and see if my client's eligible?
And in court five, they've got it posted, like
Like all the
information
requirements are.
with the information on that in both the defense workroom and like around the clerk's office. And
So, in summary, I would say in misdemeanor court, there's a couple things, but in the real stuff is more in felony court.
yeah, the biggest thing that you'll see in misdemeanor court, honestly, is the PTD program, their PTI program, because it's a misdemeanor. You're talking about really the effects on your client, right? PTD and PTI at the misdemeanor level is something that's short that is going to allow for a dismissal. Okay. And yet, generally speaking, because it's a misdemeanor level, you're not going to have a ton of conditions.
So they might say you need to do X, Y, and Z, pay this little amount of money, and do it all within this little window of
Like
time.
60
And
days, two
yeah,
clean
if
UAs. There's a variety of different things that they'll ask
but
for.
if you do it all, their case gets dismissed.
Yeah.
And so a lot of our like sort of low level misdemeanor cases, if the client's never been in trouble before, a lot of times it's very easy to work out one of these PTI dismissals for them on certain offenses.
DWIs are not eligible for PTI, PTD.
What about domestic violence assault?
So they do special contracts that can end in dismissals in both Court 10 and Court 11 with assault family violence
Okay.
cases. That's going to be negotiated with the district attorney directly. They will have your client sign a contract. That contract is going to require them to take certain classes or do certain things.
Anger management,
Is
maybe.
anger management or the BIP, the Batters Intervention Prevention Program. Those are two pretty standard programs that they have in misdemeanor courts. That, I mean, look, if you're looking at a misdemeanor assault family violence, it's because they don't have any previous family violence. Otherwise, it would already be up to a felony. So I know both those courts really kind of see this as the opportunity to change someone's ways, and so those are definitely available, and
But you
should
need to
be
be,
negotiated.
well, you should be aware though, when we're talking about PTI, where you've got to do a couple clean UAs or something in 60 days or 90 days, when you do these contracts in domestic violence court, they're much longer because batter's intervention is how many weeks?
6 months.
Is a 6 month
It's like four to
program.
six months.
So
Yeah.
your contract on those cases, and this is really important when you're an attorney evaluating whether you're going to set the case for trial or not. I mean, you might have a client that's like, I'll do this batter's intervention and everything. Well, as long as they understand that is a very intensive program and it lasts for 6 months. And if you don't go, they kick you out, you violate your contract. Versus if the case is not real strong, then it may be better for your client to set the case for trial. So it's part of your thought process in deciding how to dispose of the case. That sounds like this contract is going to be great. It could be the perfect solution to your client's situation, or it could be setting your client up for failure. So
Note that in most of these instances, whether we're talking about a pretrial diversion program or a specialty court program, or even one of these specialized family violence contracts, the goal for every single one of those is to end in a dismissal for your
yeah,
client.
yeah.
The exception is DWIs. DWI court does not end in a dismissal of the DWI case. What it does is it provides your client with a lot of additional tools to help them with possible alcohol dependency. It's going to
Well, and
give them
it's
a lot of support for that to help
well
them get through
to
it.
get into DWI court, you normally have to have more than one DWI.
Sure.
So what if you have a client like we have had who picks up three, has like three pending misdemeanor DWIs or two pending misdemeanor DWIs? DWI court might be a really good avenue for them because it would hopefully help prevent them from ultimately getting a felony DWI,
Right.
and help them get sober, all those kinds of good things. So I'm a big fan of DWI court for the right client.
Absolutely, for the right client. And just understand that, and I just wanted to point out that difference because I don't want anybody to think that all of these end in dismissals. That's
Yeah,
not
that's
the
true. It
case.
doesn't. Now I have had, and I'm assuming they still do it. I don't know if it's changed. I've had people go into DWI court with two DWIs where they ultimately dismissed one of them and got a conviction on one. So they didn't end up with two convictions. So if that's still a possibility,
It is. It's something that you have to negotiate.
yeah, you have to go into it knowing that that's going to be the end result. So those are, and also the DWI court's a long program too. It's not, it's more like the batter's intervention situation where it's going to be 6 months or more. Or I think
It's a year.
it's a year, right? Yeah. So it's not anything like PTI that's 60 or 90 days. So just when you're evaluating, once again, as the attorney, you're looking to see what's the best outcome for your client, or just laying it all on the line with your client saying, here are all your options. You need to pick one. And as long as you give them good information, it's ultimately their decision. Now, let's talk about all the myriad of things going on in felony court because there's more options up there, right?
There are. So you still also have pretrial diversion,
Mm-hmm.
pretrial intervention in felony court. It's a separate application than the one that you have in misdemeanor court, but it encompasses everything. And what the only thing that it doesn't really encompass is mental health. Mental health has their own application process. It's a little bit different when we start talking about felony, because what will happen is that you'll go ahead and fill out that application. They will set up a time to meet with your client and to assess them, to recommend what type of pretrial diversion or specialty program they should take part in.
Okay.
So often what you'll see is that there's like a pretrial diversion plea agreement offered by the district attorney, but there are no terms. Instead, it is apply for pretrial diversion. You'll do the pretrial diversion application process. Your client will do the interview. Then you'll be notified that, we are recommending that your client go into the divert program, or they're
What's
go.
the divert program?
So divert
Is
is,
that the drug one?
yes. So they've got different programs that are there. Some of them are like, a lot of them are kind of focused on drug use and helping people with that. But or it could just be more of a standard pretrial diversion program where they'll say, okay, for the next 6 months you have to do X, Y, and Z.
Take
Which
a class, pass some UAs, things like that.
Now, if you believe that your client may qualify for the mental health division, they are their own division inside the district attorney's office. So you'll actually go through an application process specifically for mental health. That will not go through the pretrial diversion application. The good news is that it's a one-stop shop to go into any of these programs through the pretrial diversion application, except for mental health.
Okay, so you have a client who's 24 and gets popped for a little bit of cocaine or something like that, never been in trouble before. They might be a good candidate to apply for one of these programs because they may have them do some things and not. We are fortunate in Dallas, at least at the time of this filming, that we have a district attorney who is very focused on rehabilitation, on getting people off drugs and things of that nature. He is not someone like you will find in other parts of Texas where we also practice, where the focus is sending people to prison. So if your client is arrested in Dallas on a felony, I tell people, not a bad place to be, because if you're trying to, rehab your client and you want your client to, do well in the future and take advantage of some of these opportunities, some of these programs, because many counties do not have them. There's also a felony DWI court program.
Yes, and that's what
That's a real good one.
that is a good one, and you'll also see the felony veterans court is very, very good as well.
Very well known veterans court program in Dallas. So if you do have a client that's former military, we've put quite a few people through that system and had very good results. They look at the whole person, and there's all these entities there to try to help them: mental health, housing, all kinds of things. So those are really good programs. So the good news for you, if you're practicing in Dallas, is that you have access to all these programs to apply for your client if it's the right circumstance. Certainly not saying every client is going to benefit from these, because many clients need trials, or many clients are not interested in probation and want the least amount of time they can get, as you all know. So it's just going to be a case by case basis. But just be aware, if you're coming to Dallas for the first time, to ask for these. Now, I do have one final question. You go to court, and who do you ask about
So
these programs?
all the programs that you're going to ask about are going to be asked through the district attorney's
Okay.
office. Okay, now they have a website and an application that you can download for the PTD program, but you can't apply unless it's something that you are. I mean, you could apply for every single one of your clients, I suppose, but you're really probably spinning your wheels if your client's not eligible. Um, the reality is that a lot of your felony charges are first time felony charges,
Mm-hmm.
and those are prime for the PTD program. That being said, not all of your district attorneys are paying attention to that when they're first reviewing a case, and so it behooves you to ask them, okay, can you tell me if they're eligible for PTD? If they don't automatically offer that to you, they'll do a quick review, and if they give you the thumbs up, then go ahead and move forward with the application.
Right. So if you're in a felony court and it's a first offense drug state jail felony, and the DA says, we'll offer 3 years deferred adjudication or something like that, then you may want to come back and say, hey, my
Okay.
client's never been arrested for anything before. Is PTD a possibility? And then they would say, oh, I didn't even notice that or something. Let me look at it.
Yeah.
And they may not give you an answer that day. They might just say, let me look at it on your next court date, or I'll email you, or, I haven't had a chance to look at it. So that's kind of how you get that conversation started,
The application is actually very simple. It's been put out through our listserv a gazillion times, and
which hopefully you're on Dallas
yes.
Criminal Defense Bar listserv.
And once you've filled out that application, you actually sign it and scan it into an email address, or they have a desk, I believe, on the 8th floor that you can drop it off at now.
Okay. Well, hopefully you found this helpful and you will think about it the next time you're in Dallas as one of your first defense clients.